On January 31, 2026, the New Patriotic Party will hold its presidential primaries and determine who will represent the party for the 2028 general election. This decision was made at a National Council meeting yesterday, and this is different from the practice of the party having to elect internal party officers from the polling station to the national level before electing parliamentary primaries and then electing its presidential candidate. So this is a total flip. To get more into this, we've come to the immediate past national chairman of the party, Freddie Blay, to get the reasoning behind this and if this decision in itself would yield any benefits for the NPP. You're welcome to Channel One News, sir.
Hanson, good afternoon. Thank you.
You were at the party meeting yesterday. I remember I saw you yesterday.
Yeah, that's a very appropriate question. Yes, I was. But let me first draw your attention that whatever decisions that were taken yesterday, the General Secretary of the party had already briefed the media. And honestly, I would have been much more at ease if you had decided to talk to the General Secretary or the organizer or any of the current executives about those decisions that were taken. But be it as it may, I was there from A to Z and I followed it, and I would say I'm part of it.
Let's jump straight into that decision. Is it new in your time with the NPP, having been acting chairman, being chairman before, former chairman? Has it ever been contemplated at council before to flip the timing of doing internal election?
So I'm very well informed. At that time, I was not part of the executive, and indeed, I hadn't myself joined the NPP then. But in 1998, it was done that way.
Okay, so in 1998, so this won't be the first.
Definitely not the first. That is top to bottom. That is the party deciding. I don't even want to call it top to bottom in this perspective, unless, of course, we are talking about the party itself. But the party hierarchy is different from the idea of primaries for the flag bearership of the party. So don't put the two together.
But
There is the primaries for the leadership of the party and the elections for various executive positions from national to police station level.
But for clarity's sake, since you became a card-bearing member of the NPP and held party positions, this discussion had never come up.
The discussion of what?
The discussion of holding the presidential primaries way ahead of internal election.
No, the constitution itself is very specific that at least 24 months before any general election, the party is obliged to hold its primaries, particularly for the election of the flag bearer for the party. And indeed, if you want to do it that way also, you are advised, in fact, that the Constitution specifies that you should give notice 6 months before that election. If you are not very careful, you may have to even breach the mandate of saying do it 24 hours before the election. If you are not careful, you add 6 months to it, and you are not careful, it may even extend beyond the 24 months and may be that it will be less than that for the election. But in this case, the executives were smart, and based on advice given by the Constitutional and Legal Committee, that we better do something about it now. And the council decided, the NEC, upon the recommendation of NEC, I would say, then of course, the National Council thought of it, deliberated on it, and decided that yes, we wanted to have the flag bearership election earlier than the 24, or even before the 24 months mandate lapses. That's what.
But what I'm seeking to establish here is the novelty, at least in recent time. And that's why I was sought to inquire from you.
I don't want to call it a novelty. As I said, the constitution itself is clear.
But per practice of the NPP, we know that you always would do your executive elections, at least from the polling station, before you do president.
We are in a very different situation. In some cases, we either do that before we wanted to do it earlier, but in some cases, the party may be in power for 8 years. That maybe some of us were in the executive. The party was in power, so we could have the laxity, the comfort zone, or a space to delay it and then do it maybe within the 24 or even later than the 24 months mandate, because in that case we had the flag bearer who was there, and we have our Congress yearly. We take a Congress, we conduct our Congress or conferences within that time. So it's not always that we go for election. It's in some cases, in the rare cases like this one, that we do that. But in all these cases, let me admit that we've not done that before. We've not done what we may refer to as the top to the bottom, and we've normally conducted our various elections of the party. Then we move on to the flag bearers.
The arguments we've heard so far, and people who seem skeptical about this decision, is that it is nothing of a reorganization, but rather an attempt to capture and control power within the NPP.
Well, it's an opinion that is expressed, but it's far from the reality. I don't buy that argument. Indeed, a lot of thinking went into that, and we've also realized of late there had been a few bickerings and rancor within the party, all relating to flag bearership, and people have started attacking each other in a way that is unsavory and rather tend to be divisive. And one of the reasons being that let's do it early, market our leader or the presidential candidate, and maybe stop the bickering and the attack on each other. So let's have that one first, because most people are marshalling, a lot of people are marshalling behind individuals they consider to be presidential candidates, and it's not auguring well for the party. So let's do it fast, get it done, and then everybody will come along and there'll be unity within the party.
What do you say to those who say there's a whitewashing argument, and that the point is to really seize power for Dr. Bawumia because he is more fresh in the minds of delegates, and you are not bringing in new delegates? Is ostensibly the existing people who were on the voter roll who are going to vote, and so it's just a matter of doing it fast to capture power for Dr. Bawumia.
You mentioned that's what some people may say so, but it is what it is. The party officers from the polling station down to the have a mandate. Their mandate very clear, 4 years there. If you want to say that we want to, we should as well change everybody else, so that before we go to fresh elections and go, it's not here nor there.
But a party that has come from a shameful defeat like this, you would expect that.
I don't want you to use the word shameful. We were defeated, yes.
With the largest margin since in 1992.
Hanson, let's be very realistic. I'm saying we've gone for an election. It's been a defeat. I wouldn't underestimate it. That yes, we were given a dribbling. Fair enough. That's the reason why we must re-strategize. We might change that tactics. Maybe let's market our presidential candidate early. If we quickly conduct elections, then we will have enough time, and then the presidential candidate could go to the field, start campaigning, just like maybe our opponents or other places, other jurisdictions will do. And this is part of our part. Look, we don't have to do the same thing the same way we did, or some people will do the same thing, expect a different results. But it's part of the reorganization.
But I mean, for similar reasons, you would like to look at the problems that led to that defeat and put in structures that will correct it, and correct it from the very basic level of polling station election, and correct it all the way to national before you even think about presidential primaries.
Hanson, don't make it look like as if the individual within the party or the hierarchy of the party from bottom up did not do their work. That's why the defeat came in. I don't accept that. I will accept that even in some cases in the world, when many jurisdictions, when the government will be doing well, from nowhere, defeat could come for one reason or the other. And therefore, I don't want to blame the party executive that were existing before we went for this election. And
they cannot be blamed?
Please, no, I said I don't want to blame them totally. Maybe we could have done a few things that we did not do, or we did a few things that ought not have been done. Whatever it is, it's not just the party, but the government that we had in power. We together take the blame for whatever has happened. You say we are strategizing. Elections are part of it. Election not only for the various police station to national level offices, but maybe the elections also for the party leadership, that is a presidential candidate. And that's exactly what we want to do. If we want to do it that way, we said, let's do this one first, give him more time, stop the bickering in the party, and make sure that people will not line behind individuals just for the officers that could help one presidential candidate on the other. Let's finish with that. Nobody will tie anybody's hands behind him to undertake to go into that election. Free, fair, transparent, for anybody to conjecture or to speculate that is meant to package it for one candidate or the other. I think it's disingenuous. Let's forget about that and look at it for what it is.
We are told that the debates or the engagements during the council meeting were vigorous, and there were sharp divided positions on it.
I wouldn't say so. It was vigorous, yes, but sharply divided, no. There are individuals who express their opinion very vigorously. And at the end of the day, when it was put to vote, or the Secretary General or the General Secretary put it to the vote, it was overwhelmingly yes. Let's do it that way.
Was it a unanimous one, or was?
Definitely, I wouldn't say unanimous, but I'm saying it was overwhelmingly yes for it.
But if it was overwhelmingly yes for it, and people had strong views in opposing it, don't you think that even after organizing this election earlier, which would be the January 31 presidential primaries, the bickering that you're against will continue to exist?
In any organization, there will be bickering. We seek not to completely wipe it out. Differences will occur at any level, at any time. But what we seek to do is to reduce it. It is in the best interest of the party. We need to go to the election united, very strong, so that we could go to the campaign and not have amongst us others who may be undermining the party or creating some dissatisfaction between us. I think that one, we've made up our mind on it. So we want to move forward and not put whatever happened behind us.
Couldn't there have been an alternative way of stopping this bickering, i.e. being insistent on party rules, cracking the whip where people misbehave?
That's a choice we've made. The choice is the tools that we are mentioning. Among them could be cracking the whip, bringing in tough discipline, doing all of that things, maybe engaging individuals. And one of the reasons why we are even talking about expansion of the base, that is to make sure that people get involved in the choosing of not just MPs, but officers for the party, and at the end of the day, even for presidential election. So we are expanding the base. This is one of the reasons why we had the committee that we set up for the elections or for the constitutional amendment and so forth. They have come out with this. We've all together accepted it, endorsed it, and we are moving ahead. Definitely, we may not talk every one person amongst it. There will be individuals who may even not be in favor of any change whatsoever. But whatever it is, majority say, let's go this way. That's exactly what we are doing. In any case, that's not the end. We're going to have a conference. The conferences are proposals. And that's what we want to do. And they accept that for fixing of the date for the election. It is the prerogative and indeed the mandate of the National Council to do so.
That was the next point I was coming to, because it seems as though this proposal came out of the amendment committee's work. A host of their proposals are going to be put before conference. Why wasn't this one left to conference to decide on? That's the highest making decision body of the NPP.
Listen, the higher decision making of the NPP, we put proposal before it. It tests the steering committee that will come out based on consultations. Indeed, we left that to a committee. The amendment and so forth I'm talking about, the Constitutional and Legal Committee. And as we were informed at this meeting that you are referring to, over 900 or more people came out with various amendments. They winnowed it and find out that these are the best way to go about it. So it's been consultation. Not every person will be consulted. What we are even suggesting, that leave everything to the, to the conference and co. Even to the conference, proposals will be made. And some of the proposals that we are talking about, which can only be effected through the conference, that's what we've done. We are carrying it to the conference for it to be considered.
But I'm interested how
it will be taken.
I'm interested how come this doesn't rise to the level of an amendment of the Constitution
We are not
to
under the Constitution now with regards to the primaries that have to be conducted, primary election that to be conducted for flag bearership. It is the duty and mandate of the National Council, and they've not shied away from it. They've taken that decision, period.
They are well within their right.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about this council meeting and other recommendations that have been made. What usually is the practice? Is it going to be by a vote, or the other proposals that will be pushed to conference for determination?
Yeah, unfortunately, you've not attended any of our conferences.
I have. I attended one in 2019.
That we are sending up because we are going to give it to the various constituencies throughout the whole regions in Ghana for them to look at. If there are amendments we made, they will be effective. So you bring up, everybody will look at it and see if the people have some reservations or some additions or some minuses and to be done or to be effected. Definitely, this will be considered at the conference.
So when they come for the conference, would they be put to a vote, or?
Well, that's what's going to happen. To be not that each individual will, but the voice vote will be, unless somebody insists that the voice vote is not dependable, or they think that it's evenly divided, and therefore they insist that region by region they should line up and say that we support it or don't support it. But we'll find a way of going about it. In the past, there had been, do you support it? If the voice is overwhelmingly yes, we go by it. If we think it is divided, we will look at it from another angle. That's all.
I remember in 2019, the conference before the 20 either the 2024 election or the 2020 election, there were some amendments, but it was 2020, one of the elections, the conference just ahead of that. Some amendments were supposed to be considered by conference, but deferred again to another body. Can that happen?
I wouldn't know what will happen this time around, but because the amendment that people have proposed, they say that particularly the committee had proposed are not too many. Indeed, we were told that there are about 300 amendments, and some of us had opinion that it should be winnowed and then reduced so that we wouldn't spend the whole time, the whole day, only bickering over the amendments. Indeed, what happened in Kumasi some other time, I've forgotten specifically the year, we realized that it was going to take the whole day. And then, very good, in Kumasi, then it was moved that should we give it to a special committee to look at it, bring it up, so that at some other later time we could consider them, because the time had fast.
So there's a possibility of that. That's the understanding I wanted to get, that there's a possibility that these amendments can go to conference, and conference will say, let's give it to another committee.
Unless maybe we only limit it to a couple of them which we can handle within that time. I believe it will make eminent sense to go by that.
Specifics of the recommendations from the committee, we do not know. But we know conversations and issues that proposals bordered on. And related to what we've just discussed has to do with the electoral college, the need for expansion. Was council given an indication as to the committee stance on the level of expansion, and I will put it here?
It was elaborately spelled out, and we all listened attentively to what has been proposed. There were a few things that people were not very. It looks like by the reaction of the members who were attending the meeting, it was a bit negative on that, but I can't pinpoint them. I remember the one over the age for youth elections, and so for the limit for the age. Of course, the reaction was mixed a bit, and then there are a few things that people also pointed out were not happy about. But I believe overwhelmingly we all agree that for the expansion we must undertake it. But mind you, Hanson, it's not just saying left to the party itself, and I believe everybody else that was in the room, we would have loved to have all card-bearing members of the party maybe take part in any elections from A to Z. I'm talking about from polling station to the national level. And now, indeed, even with regards to primaries, presidential primaries, that would have been beautiful. But you have to consider the cost of it. The parties we are in opposition. If you look at it, the numbers are staggering.
So the expansion will be seen, proposed to conference, would not be every card-bearing member of the NPP?
It will not be. We're doing that gradually. It's graduating it. That will make a few expansion. That's what will be proposed. I'm not saying we will, but that's what has been proposed to the conference. That one, we could do so with regards to past executives, ministers who were appointed specifically because they belong to the party, diplomats who were appointed because specifically. We will look at it from various angles and make expansion. But with regards to the constituencies and regional executives and past leaders will take part. And indeed, even police station has been proposed that we do make expansion to include 2 more instead of, 5. And the area, the electoral area also to be increased a little so that a lot of people, communicators and could be included. It's staggering in terms of numbers and costs. But maybe the party will try to do that and see what, because complaints had gone around all over. And I believe the committee that was set up and chaired by Professor Quay also came to that conclusion, I'm told, that people say that we should involve more people, particularly past executives of the party, so that it will engender some kind of involvement and let them feel committed and work for the party. These are part of the proposal that we think will help the party rejuvenate.
Is there a proposal to elect certain officers that are appointed at the moment, like the Director of Communications, Deputy?
It was also, they spoke about it, but they said that for very good reasons, those who were appointed should remain so, because the reason for those appointments, particularly deputies and co, for integration based on other ethnic, based on geographical and various other regions, and for competence and co, not because you are popular at the election. They dropped that request for making them also elected.
Now, what is the assurance that after the January 31 presidential primaries, the flag bearer who is elected will not micromanage the party to the extent that only the people he or she likes will be elected for various positions?
See, let's look at the brighter terms of things. Everything is possible, isn't it? Even if you do it from bottom up, it could be micromanaged. People could sponsor either their supporters or sympathizers to go for certain positions. It could happen. I wouldn't say that is not possible. It could happen, but I hope it will not be so. That's what.
But hope is not enough for the progress of the party, is it?
What decisions can you make? What steps can you take, except to advise people not to do so, so that one person that had been elected as a presidential candidate could do so. But even then, there will not be too much motivation for the person to do so. Once we've elected the top and finished, we prefer competent people, capable, people who are capable to help him prosecute the campaign. And that, I believe, will rather be the case. I could imagine that if you want to win an election, don't just take your favorites to man the position. After all, you've won. So why don't you allow a free and fair election? And if you think people are good, encourage them so that they could come and make your organization, make your party strong, then the campaign could be easier.
Prior to yesterday's National Council meeting, are you aware if any of the candidates who have given an indication of their interest in the presidential primaries were engaged and was council given an update on their position on the matter?
Oh, absolutely. The committee that was set up briefed us and told us that they will definitely consult people, individuals within the party. Lawyers were consulted, and more particularly those who have one way or the other indicated that they may be interested in campaigning for presidential, as a presidential flag bearer, one way or the other. They were all, according to the committee. I don't have any reason to believe otherwise.
But did they give you, if they gave a value judgment on that proposal?
I wouldn't be in a position to know. We were not briefed about that.
Now, let's talk about the NPP. 6 months in opposition. Aside, there's a great one of the steps the party has taken was the Professor Quick Committee to review the causes for the party's loss. But there are still those who believe that report ought to be made public.
I don't doubt it. There are some people who, one way or the other, think that particular report should have been made public. And there are quite a number, overwhelmingly so, that no. We've had examples in this country. I wouldn't mention one. That's when the report had come out, the report which is for the party itself had come out and made public. People have used it for negative reasons. They've used it to condemn. They've used it to support their own argument against the party. Opponents have used it, and it has not helped the party that much. and we thought that it's reasonable to give us only the snippet of it, to give us a summary of it, to let them know the gist of it. Particularly, there are a few individuals who could be briefed as well. But as for the party membership, the council of the National Council have a summary of it, been briefed, and those who must know the details of what about, because some of the reports and some of the people who were speaking on the condemnation for their own friends, for their own party executives, and for the government or individual within government, their own personal experiences, they made it look like as if it was for the whole party of go. If we bring it out, it will cause more harm than good.
On the flip side, your opponent, 6 months in government, it looks like things are going well. The exchange rate has seen a reduction.
Is it from your perspective?
Well, from the point is that the exchange rate is doing well, fuel prices have gone down, the stability of power.
Well, you mentioned two items, the stability of the cedi and go against other currencies. And they themselves had individuals within the party. I'm told even maybe the president himself had admitted that it has very little to do with any policy initiative or implementation that has resulted about the currency, the American dollar coming down.
They say that it's because of prudent management and...
as I said, I don't want to talk much about it. I don't believe it is so. But let's wait and see what happens. We talk about fuel, cost, it had come down. I'm saying now, before maybe the war in the Middle East had come down, there had been peace a little somehow. So petrol prices have also dipped from a time when it was over 80 to 90. At one time, even 120 dollars per barrel. Now it's come down to as low as 50, and maybe still lower. But now, a couple of days now, it started coming up again. You can't use that. If the party comes out, we made it that
the government cannot be credited for
no one can be credited or blamed for the prices of petrol that is going on, because we said that we will allow the free flow of the price of petrol so that we could allow it to go and go. If it comes up, we would increase it. If it goes down, we will reduce it. That's what we're doing. Let's see what happens to them. Let's get ourselves a few more months and let's see what happens.
Which has favorably upgraded the Ghanaian economy.
Within 6 months? Within 6 months?
Well, then the upgrade has come. The fact is that the upgrade has come.
And we are saying that the good policies that were undertaken by the previous government, the benefits are still robbing on the country, robbing on the government of the day. But let's wait. I don't want to go into that. As I said, it's always too early, within 6 months, to criticize or to praise the government. But they have not even completely formed. No ambassadors have been appointed. Many positions have not yet been filled. What we've been seeing mostly is arrest of people and criticism of the previous government. That's what we've been seeing. But that's, apart from that, I haven't seen any positive thing that has been done.
The government obtained power arguing for Operation Recover All Loot, assuring the people.
We haven't seen the results, so let's wait and see.
They've shown, they've arrested some persons, they've taken some.
It's not sufficient to arrest. So they will arrest people and let's see. Let them get prosecuted and let this country retrieve. Listen, don't get me wrong. If people have done anything wrong, if they have been involved in corrupt practices or made money where they are supposed to do that, and government want them to account for whatever it is. I believe no sane person in this country will say we wouldn't agree with that. Let's do that. But there is a way to go about it. The procedure, the way you've handled it is also important. If you don't do it the proper way, the result itself, may be doubtful whether it's real or forced.
Contrary to this stance, it appears that the NPP shouts anytime one of the former appointees or a party member is invited or arrested by investigative bodies?
Hanson, I don't believe so. A lot of people have been invited, I believe, I'm told. Some without any fanfare. They've gone, presenting themselves, and they are dealing with the various organizations or agencies that have been set up without any fanfare. What everybody, not only our party members, are happy about and maybe have raised their voice over or gathered to protest is the manner to which it's been done, manner in which some of these things have been carried out. Why not? If you invite me to come to see any organization for whatever you think I've been done, I was a chairman of, let's say, GMPC. If you invite me that I should come and answer questions relating to my stewardship as a chairman, why not? I'll go and answer it.
Have you received any form of invitation?
Me, myself?
You yourself?
Unfortunately, no.
Why unfortunately? Do you want them to invite you?
Well, that would have been news, isn't it? That would have been news, and it hasn't happened. So we are waiting.
Is your firm representing any of the persons who've been invited?
Practically, I've decided that not now. They look at it as I've been doing politics with it. But my firm will not shy away that much when somebody come and pay good money for the persons to be represented.
Now, what do you make of the invest? So what there's this thorny issue about investigative bodies arresting someone, and then in light of the 48-hour rule, grants the person bail, and then the person is not able to meet the bail while in police custody and remains in police custody. We've seen it with Kwabena Dubuahin of the National Signals Bureau. We've seen it with the Chairman Wontumi. Per your understanding of the law, what should happen if it's 48 hours, the police or an investigative body holds the person, grants the person bail, and the person is unable to meet the conditions? Is it supposed to go to court? What's supposed to happen?
It's supposed to go to court. Ideally, go to court if you finish with your investigation. But if you say you want to grant the person bail, you see, the authorities are clear. You don't make it always impossible for the person to, as it were, fulfill the bail bonds. Because in some cases, when you are investigating a matter which you yourself have put a value on. In some cases, the value itself, it's without any proper indices of how you came by that. But out of your own estimate, you do say that come and give a bail bond for, let's say, 50 million or 100 million, knowing well that this country, individuals will have properties that more than maybe 10 million or 12 million or that. Very few people can satisfy those bail bonds. And in some instances, because the bail bond, to fulfill it, very stiff, we have to go to court and vary it. And it takes a little time to go and file it and go and argue it before all these things could go through. It's unfortunate, but that's what maybe the law must be taken care of. Some review should be made so that we don't use it as a means of punishing, as a means of instead of going to the person, because nobody is guilty until the person has been proved guilty by a court. As much as possible, you should do it fast and present the person to court. Put the person before court and let the court itself decide on what kind of bail bond one should post before you could go on with the case and so forth.
A topical issue that has come up in the past 6 months has been the petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokono. Have you followed the process, and what do you make of it?
I thought I had talked to somebody from your station. I'm not sure. But if I had, my position has been clear from day one. See that having read through what's happened, at least in the media, I thought it's unfortunate that I will even use your media to ask that people should not put it on the bank or on the back burner. Should be current in our thoughts, in our discussions and co. we should stand up to be counted over it. As a lawyer, you come to my chambers here. That's what I've learned in career. Augur well for this country. It doesn't augur well for even the government in power, because it helps. If the judiciary is strong, if people respect the judiciary in your country, it helps invite investors. If you mess it up the way it is going on, if you are not careful, you dig a hole that we all, including even members of this government which is in power, may fall in it eventually. Because when it rains, it doesn't rain on only one man's house. It could be you, it could be anybody. The only one who represents the judiciary as a symbol is the Chief Justice. If you treat him the way she is being treated, it doesn't augur well for all of us.
There have been a number of applications to the Supreme Court seeking to injunct the process. She herself has sent an application to the Supreme Court. All those have failed. I mean, it can't be that her own colleagues are not open and are not aware of the supposed injustice you talk of.
Yes, that's what makes me sad. Let me say so. I'm saying that with a little experience that I've had. I've not sat on the bench before, but I'm saying this one, it's that I thought the justices of the Supreme Court could have taken advantage of to, as it were, put a little stop or delayed, or in one way or the other, give the president a leeway to get out of this, what I will refer to as a mess, particularly with regards to the discretion as to what to push it to not only to the committee, to the Council of State, and for the Council of State, which I think we must consider that they've done a great disservice to this country. It's over the discretion, and over what they refer to as prima facie case. Prima facie case means that without even considering anything, the petition, the complaints against her, without her answering it, she could go in for it or she could be sacked for that. But if you look at them, I say no. I'm saying so with, excuse me, from my own perspective.
What then do you think?
I'm saying the justices could have interrogated the idea of prima facie. How was it done? If it had not been made public, we think justice demand that it should be. They could have taken that cue.
You think the Supreme Court didn't do well with that?
I will say I'm not happy with what the attitude of the Supreme Court did. They may say that's the law, but it's an interpretation of the law. The justices interpret the law for this country. In the process of judicial lawmaking, I'm not saying when it is A, through your interpretation make it B, but this is a very critical case that they could have, one way or the other, interrogated or questioned the use of discretion over the prima facie case. This they didn't do. I feel it's sad.
Finally, the issue about making the tribunals, regional tribunals, more active. The NDC government promised. There have been conversations around it. What is your attitude to?
It's a pity that they're talking about the tribunals again. Honestly, Professor Abdel's time, it was the recommendation of the committee that was set up. Among many of them, Pwama was one of them, Atutunga was one of them, quite a lot of professors and Fiajo Pressafetuju Committee, they made recommendation that forget about the tribunal and merge it up. Let the chairman of the tribunal, who happens to be a lawyer, let him be part of the mainstream judicial system. And that's what the recommendation. But if the NDC wants to go back and talk about tribunal, where there could be only one trained lawyer and the rest be ordinary people to try cases, it's unfortunate, but I don't believe that they will get it done. If they do so, we live in this country to see.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That is Freddie Blay, former NPP chairman former NPP chairman, speaking to us on the party's reforms, the performance of the NDC in power in 6 months, and also some topical issues that have been within the political and legal space. My name is Hanson Agyemang.